to Football Terrace. Chelsea are on a madness. Thiago Silva is highly likely to sign this week. My personal belief is it's done. Guys just taking a little bit of time to relax before the announcement. Ben Chilwell, in my opinion, will happen this week. And I think Kai Havertz is very, very close. In terms of the facts of the matter, they're all on the edge. They're on the precipice. They're very close to being total agreements and deals completed. It's my opinion, though, that it's done. You know, it's semantics, it's detail, it's legalities. Chelsea Football Club will sign these three. They will add them to the catalogue of Werner and Ziyech that will all be making their Chelsea debuts in just 2 weeks' time in the Premier League. And title contenders. I'm asking a question here. I've had some Chelsea fans come on and say it. But with Chilwell, Havertz, Werner, Ziyech, and now one of the greatest central defenders of the last 20 years, joining your club at 35, still fit, still strong, still fresh. Can Chelsea challenge for the Premier League title next year? Can they close the gap? And I'm not talking in terms of points, because the points element, you don't know how many. You don't need to close 30 points on Liverpool because you're on the same amount of points. You have no idea how many points Liverpool and City will accumulate right now. We can have a theory on it. It's about the gap in class. These players, do they allow Lampard to achieve that? How close will they now be to Liverpool and Manchester City? Will they leave Man United behind? Chelsea fans, we want to hear from you. The Skype lines are open. But Thiago Silva, very, very close. Chilwell, even closer. Werner is going to get done. In my opinion, these deals are all but done. It's just a few minor details now being kind of taken care of and catered for. But Chelsea Football Club, brilliant, brilliant business being done. The comment here says second or third. Yes, but how close? I'm talking how will the gap be? This season, a gigantic gap between the two clubs. I want to know how big you think the gap is going to be. Forget the point. Forget the position for a minute or points. The gap. Explain it to me. Show your football knowledge. We have Chelsea fan Kaya on the show. What do you make of this business, mate?
Hey, Terry, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Congrats on 150K.
I appreciate that, my bro. I mean, this is big, big business. I mean, Thiago Silva, class player. Chilwell, Havertz. Give me your overarching opinions on this, mate.
You know what? I heard Igal say that yesterday, that Silva's too old, blah, blah, blah. But think about it like this. He's 35, but look at the way he played yesterday in the final. Look at the quality he has and the way he defends. So he's a good stopgap right now until we sort out our defense in the future. You know what I mean? And other than that, yeah, I think it's a really good business from Chelsea. But we knew this was coming, right? Like we knew after the transfer ban that they're going to start signing, the players that they need to replace Hazard. I'm glad I know everybody's talking about Havertz, but the impact Werner is going to have, I think it's extremely, extremely, extremely not looked upon. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I think it's interesting with the sort of Timo Werner because it happened first. Even Ziyech to an extent, like there is of course kind of situations like Chelsea fans like it and they've been excited to see them both in training with you. But because Ziyech and Werner were agreed so long ago now in the grand scheme of things, and you've got these big deals that are bubbling, the excitement almost seems to have gone away. Sometimes I sit there and forget. I'm like, oh yeah, Chelsea have already signed them as well, and it's big business. I also think that we're in this situation where I don't care who. I'd prefer it to be Man United, but there needs to be a big deal. A big deal needs to happen this summer, and I think Kai Havertz and Chilwell could be that, both from a pan-European situation and here in the UK. That there hasn't been a big transfer internally yet within our league. I think it may just take one to kind of set that market alight. Thought it was going to happen 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, didn't. So hopefully the Chilwell deal, I know there were a bit of talk today that the deal could collapse because he's got to be there's some kind of specialist to look at a heel injury that he's got. But I read that it could be about 6 weeks that he's out for. I mean, one, that has come from the Sun. So any Chelsea fan, we've got to remember that's come from the Sun newspaper. But equally, if it's only 6 weeks that he's going to be out injured for, and Ben Chilwell is the number one choice, you'd still sign him. It doesn't make sense to me to not sign your number one choice for the sake of 6 weeks. That would seem very strange.
But Terry, isn't there like a FIFA rule that if a player can't pass a medical, then you cannot sign him? It has to be clear before the transfer.
I don't know if that's.
I think there's a rule that way. Yeah.
I don't know. And I say that just because I've swear I've seen players sign injured before. But as I say, this is coming from the Sun. What I've read. A few people asking for the Skype link. I'm just going to put the Skype name. Oh no, that's not it right there. I'm just going to post the Skype name now. But just search Football Terrace, and you should find that absolutely no problems. But it's not letting me copy and paste it from there for whatever reason. I'm not too sure why it's not letting me do that. Oh, there we go. I've just posted it as a comment. There we go. If you want to search it as
about the challenge you asked about, this is Chelsea.
How close do you think you'll be with these signings if they all come off? How close do you think you'll be to catching? Liverpool.
You know what, Terry? If we already signed Ziyech and Werner, and we're going to sign Havertz. Tell me those three. You're gonna invest that amount of money on those three world-class players, and they are world-class players. I was watching the Mark Goldberg stream yesterday, and he was saying, you can't sign three players like this and just be like top four is good enough. You know what I mean? You also do business, and you know what it means when you invest. When you invest, you expect something in return. You can't just be like, I'm going to invest this and I'm okay with it.
I agree. I agree. I think last year Lampard got a massive free ride. Even with some of the poor results and performances, there was never enough criticism, and the response was always first season, no transfer window. As you say, you cannot have a transfer window like this, which is on paper, and we have to say this because we've seen brilliant windows before. On paper, this could actually be the best transfer window I've ever seen any club have in the history of the Premier League in terms of the quality, the variety. Three, maybe even four world-class players. Ziyech. If Ziyech can actually transform his form from the Dutch leagues into the Premier League, if he's equally as productive, that's world-class. We always have a question mark over players from the Dutch, Portuguese, French leagues because there is still that is the quality good enough over there from top to bottom to warrant that amount of goals and assists for an attacking player to deem them as being world class. But if you look at that, and yes, you've got to give them a little bit of time to gel. But scraping fourth, scraping third next season could see Frank Lampard get sacked. We've added Tim to the call. Tim, let everyone know who you support and what do you want to say.
Yeah, I'm a Chelsea fan, and can't be more happy really. But we're looking at pretty much changing up the whole starting, like pretty much half the starting 11. And like you said, that's going to take a while. Like, I don't think we can understate how long that could actually take when you consider we're not just bringing in young players, we're bringing in a Brazilian that doesn't really speak English, we're bringing in a German that's never played here, again, another two Germans, a player from the Dutch league, they're from all different leagues. And that honestly could take, especially when you consider the fact that there's going to be like pretty much no preseason. Bro, we could be, 3 months into the season and these players have barely begun to gel yet. And by that point, who knows where we'd be in the table.
To be honest, I disagree with you. I think if you put good players together, doesn't matter if they speak English or they speak Chinese. It's basically, if they train with each other, they get the cohesion already. And we already signed them quite early as well. So they're going to have time to gel. And we've seen so many players, great players who came to the Premier League who can barely speak English do really well. Look at Aguero, right? Look at all these guys. I think even Laporte barely speaks English, and look how good he is for City.
Not speaking English was just an example.
No, I get. Look, Tim, I get where you're coming from. I think what will happen, and this will be interesting. I've called this out for weeks now. I think that the Tammys and the Mounts, Tomoris, a lot of the academy players will get a lot less game time this season in the big two competitions than they did last, barring injury, of course. that will change things. You know, if 2 or 3 of these new signings spend half the season out injured, you'll of course see them get more game time. However, what you probably will see is people attack. You'll see this if you follow us regularly. I know you boys both do. You'll see me getting attacked a lot at the beginning of the season because it's highly likely, I think, in the first 5 to 10 games to see these new signings being bled in slowly. And I take example from that of Liverpool. Liverpool had that brilliant final 6 months of the season that led to a Champions League final. Remember, they signed Virgil van Dijk in the January. He fitted in perfect. That summer after that, they brought in the Nabbies, the Fabinho, the Ellison as examples, but they were all, other than the goalkeeper, they were bled in nice and slowly, if you remember. So I think there's an element where you might find that you may not start the season with all 5 or 6 of these guys in your first team. It might be a case of this slowly. I think Werner will start. I think Ziyech will start, no doubt. I think Silva will definitely start. You could find that Chilwell does have this little injury, so he takes a little bit of time to bed in. You might find that actually Kai Havertz might start the first couple of games on the bench as a young man coming over and just be, do you get where I'm coming from? So I think that will happen in relation to that. But it's going to be an interesting one to see how quickly it gels, because what will happen is there will be pressure applied to Chelsea. And a larger percentage of that is going to come from the fans, because the fans, I look at the Chelsea fans at the moment, and there is this excitement, this kind of euphoria about, wow, look what we're doing. I want results. And we know what the media do. If the media sees Chelsea fans on socials lose their minds, the media are going to push stories that feed into that. We've added Prime to the call. Prime, of course, last night Fabrizio spoke about Thiago Silva. Look, I know he said that he's going to take a couple of weeks to make his mind up, but for me, I think we'll see these decisions come through fairly quickly. Thiago Silva, Chilwell, Havertz being added to Ziyech and Werner. How confident are you now, Prime, of mounting a title challenge with this squad? Are you there, Prime?
Forgot the sunglasses.
Prime, can you hear me? Maybe not. Maybe he's gone. I have no idea where he disappeared to. We've definitely added him to the call. He's definitely here. He's now muted himself. He's unmuted himself. Oh, we can't hear you, Prime. Try calling back, bro.
No, sorry.
Can I add on that point, Terry?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
The fact that Chelsea has been spending agent fees as much as Arsenal have been spending on players. You know what I mean? So that obviously they're going to be. The media is going to be all over Chelsea. If one player, for example, if Werner doesn't get that he doesn't pay his fees, like the amount we paid for him, and he doesn't score those goals, it's instant. The media is going to expect instant. Switching from Czech to English is killing me. It's like if the media is going to expect like immediate results, you know what I mean? And it's going to be the same thing once you get like the thing with Havertz is what I'm very calm about the Havertz thing is we're packed in midfield, but that attack, that front three that's where you're gonna expect Ziyech and Werner to gel in quickly. You know what I mean? Yeah, no,
I do understand. I definitely understand that and get that. Just a big shout out to a few people here. The Gabriel to Arsenal deal was expected to be announced today, which will be an interesting one. We'll obviously go live with that. We're going to have DT on the show tonight about 7 p.m. So make sure you're tuning in. We've added Jem to the call, obviously Chelsea fan. Jem, what do you make of the signing of Thiago Silva? A lot of Arsenal fans really seem to be giving it stick. Maybe it's because you guys wound them up so much in relation to the sort of retirement home thing. Are you infused by bringing someone in like Silva on a 2-year deal, or would you prefer a younger up-and-coming striker?
It's a good short-term option. When you look at it, he's got a lot of experience. For me, the guy's just a beast, isn't he? He's a serious player. So for us, I think it's good for the short term. I mean, if we're looking to try and compete on all 4 levels, then I don't think it's a bad idea to try and buy someone like Thiago Silva just to stabilise the back 4, because you've got to bear in mind.
Just like a close gap for a year, until we can. There's someone else on the market.
Reported, how much is he expected to earn? Has that been, or is it just the years? That's the only thing that's currently been.
It's only the years.
Like
I mean,
1 year for 120,000, I think.
Yeah, I could imagine as well. I could imagine him being on a fairly sizable whack. I can imagine. I can't imagine him signing for any.
On the way, Chelsea don't ease up on the.
Yeah, I can't imagine Thiago Silva being on anything less than £250,000 a week signing for you.
Yeah, but the good thing is,
Sorry. Someone, if you're gonna come on the show, guys, you've got to be somewhere quiet. I think that's Syed, whoever that is. So noisy, bro. I can't have you on. Yeah, bro, Syed, I'm sorry we added you, but you're too noisy in the background, bro. I've got to lock you off. Please don't come back into the chat room because it's too noisy where you are. No one can hear anything. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
The only thing I was going to say in terms of the other than the Thiago Silva situation is that you asked us about us, how close are we to the top four? The only thing that worries me, not top four, sorry, to the Premier League top. The only thing that worries me about that is the goalie still, because I do think we're just going to keep leaking goals. I know if we get Thiago Silva,
Christ, the goalie,
but the goalie,
That's true. That's true. I mean. And maybe that's the stumbling point. Maybe that is a stumbling point between being Premier League title contenders and being sort of cemented into the top four because you've got Kepa in goal as an example. And maybe that's the one area. And I get why people are still nervous about that. Prime, can you hear us?
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, what do you make of this, bro?
Yeah, I think he's. In terms of centre back, he is the one that we need at the moment. We need a leader to kind of come in and mold the players that we have, particularly Zuma and Tomori. Like Arsenal fans, for example, making fun of us. Well, Thiago Silva was just in a Champions League final, whereas Willian is someone who most players wouldn't.
Yeah.
I rate Willian. I think he's a good player, but most people wouldn't rate him as one of the best
guys,
in the Prem or in his position. So there's levels to this game,
Yeah, and on Willian, he was never an influential player for us. For the 2 times that we won the Premier League with him, in 2014-15, he scored 2 goals. In 2016 and 17, he was playing. He was playing behind Pedro. They need to calm down. You're saying a 32-year-old who already achieved whatever he wants to achieve, and now he's ready to retire.
Don't disrespect Willian. Don't disrespect Willian. Stop.
Come on, man. He's disrespecting us. Did you see what he said in his interview?
He's not disrespecting you. Listen, William's doing what he has to do for PR. Like he has to say. I mean, I'm not being funny. What William said should be music to Chelsea fans' ears from a banter point of view here. Because Arsenal Football Club have to win the Champions League in the next 3 years. Otherwise, it's failure. Yeah. Because that's how they've signed. Like a few. This is what I love about the banter side of football. When we drop the seriousness for a moment, like you're talking about, supposedly Gabriel and William both chose Arsenal because of conversations with Mikel Arteta about how we're going to go on and win the Champions League. That's cool. That means you can stick that to Arsenal fans because there's no way in my opinion, they're winning it inside 3 years. And if they do, then fair play to them. And it's going to be interesting. I actually think William's going to do really, really well at Arsenal, though. And I think he's going to surprise a few people in relation to that.
It's not a high theory.
No, it doesn't. But I think he'll do well. I think he'll do well. And it will be recognized as him doing well at Arsenal. Maybe it's sort of a bit like when he was at Shakhtar. Was it Shakhtar Donetsk he was out? I think, he'll stand out a little bit more there. Sayed's with us now. What do you want to say, my friend?
Yeah. First off, Terry, congrats on 150K. Very well deserved.
Appreciate that, my friend.
Secondly, what I wanted to say was, first off, Willian's going to do very well at Arsenal. That's not up for debate. Willian's a very good player. And honestly, I would have liked to see him at Man United as a depth option. Other than that, I'm hoping that we sign someone quickly because the way Chelsea are going about it, their team is really building up to be something insane. But Chelsea still need a centre-back, a defensive midfielder. They need a lot more than they think they do.
You have the best defensive midfielder in the world. What are you talking about? You have Kante.
Yeah, Kante is not a defensive midfielder, but yeah.
He is a defensive midfielder.
He's a ball-winning midfielder, not a defensive midfielder.
What's a ball-winning midfielder? That's a defensive midfielder.
Boys. My question. What I want to say here is, don't get lost in semantics. And what I mean by that is, there are people like, let's not be football hipsters here. So, for me, whether you want to call them holding, ball winning, CDMs, central midfielders, that's what I love about football. When I was growing up, Kante would have just been called a central midfielder as an example. And you know, Man United in my lifetime growing up, we had Paul Ince, we had Roy Keane, we had Paul Scholes, we had Michael Carrick. They were all just central midfielders, and then suddenly everyone started to redefine them. And then you had CDM, and you had box to box. You had, and it's sort of football, and it's fine. But if you play, Kante is one of the best. All you know is Kante is one of the best central midfielders in the world, one of the best DMs in the world, one of the best CDMs, one of the best ball winning. He is just brilliant at that role. Now he's very different to say playing a Verratti or a Thiago in his position. Or a Paul Pogba, but again, this is what it's all about. It's horses for courses. If you're going to play Kante, I think you have to have certain players around him, and vice versa. You get what I like? Where he's gone wrong for him at Chelsea is you've had this situation of do you want a kind of do you want a sort of Jorginho type player in that hub role, or do you want it to be Kante? Do you want to play with two people? I think if you were to instance play 2 8s next to him, I think Kante dominates midfield as an example. That then means you can't play a number 10 though. So it's, do you get where I'm coming from? So I don't think we need to argue that Kante is world class. That's it. He's a world class central midfielder, 110%.
It looks like what Frank wants to do anyway. Play Kante as that DM and play with 2 8s in front.
So why are you saying that he's not a defensive midfielder then?
No. Well, I never said Kante is not a defensive midfielder. He's probably one of the best defensive midfielders in the world right now. But the problem is he's like a Wilfred Ndidi. He doesn't play, like beautiful football or anything. So Kante's like a Wilfred Ndidi. He's not like a Jorginho or he's not like that. He's not like a Thiago. He's not like that. Lampard doesn't fancy Kante. That's for sure. We saw that last season. Okay.
What? He plays him every game.
Wait, what does that have to do with last season?
Lampard not fancy Kante. Lampard played Kante every moment he could when he was fit.
Look. Listen. Let's look at the team from the perspective of Lampard right now. Look, Pulisic plays on the right. Absolutely. Ziyech plays on the right. Werner up front. And Havertz in the number 10 role, right?
No, because Havertz has came out and said that he prefers playing as a number 8 in that inside channel as an 8. He came out and said it like 2 years ago. That's his preferred position.
Right.
But 2 years is a long time. You get me? Look where Havertz has been playing for the last year. He's been doing very, very well.
But he plays as a number 8 as well for Leverkusen as well.
Leverkusen, he plays everywhere because he's their best player by far.
Plays as number 10 on the right or on the left, but usually on the right.
He's Leverkusen's best player by a country mile.
Obviously, because he's that good. Look at he can play everywhere when he still be good, but that doesn't mean that Lampard has to play him as a. We have enough wingers. See, you're comparing. Bayer Leverkusen doesn't have the squad that we have. It doesn't have the quality that we have. We have the quality to play players in their national position.
I don't understand what the point of this conversation is. What are we trying to get at here?
That's what I'm saying.
I love sitting here listening to it. I just say this is amazing.
But yeah, Terry, in terms of what title challengers. All right. A few weeks ago, I had some Liverpool fans telling me that, or a friend of mine who's a Liverpool fan telling me that he thinks Chelsea will win the league next season. And I said, how? And he just says he has a feeling. And I said, no, don't put that pressure on.
Do you know what?
Don't,
man. Do you know what? Prime.
Deals coming true.
Prime.
Now that we have, no, just listen to me. But now that we have, I'm not saying we will, but in terms of everyone that we have in, I think we do need to sort of challenge. We do need to challenge.
There is no, like I've said Kepa's there. Like I've said about Man United, if we sign the players, we go back to what I was saying from February right through till now. We bring in Sancho, keep Pogba, sign sort of a Grealish, and then one other top player. I said we have no excuses not to put at least a title push on and cement top 4. We haven't done that yet. So again, my opinion will change. But what Chelsea are bringing in, for me, the bare minimum in the league is a comfortable finish in the top 4. You need to go deep into the champion. Like, you can't be getting brocked on your chin in the Champions League like you did this year by Bayern Munich. You just, with this kind of squad that you now have, because you've got depth, you're not losing anybody else. You know, this is probably one of the best. You know, and that's all on paper, but that's about Frank Lampard now bringing this to fruition. And I know he's a young manager. I know he's only his 2nd year in. I'm not saying, by the way, sack him if it doesn't go right, but I know Chelsea fans. and I know the media, and I know Roman Abramovich.
And not only Chelsea fans, Roman Abramovich as well.
Yeah, exactly. If he drops this amount of money and he doesn't get a good season, it's good. It's good night nurse for Frankie.
Exactly. Roman clearly
he's
needs
expecting a
business,
reward. You know what I mean?
We need to be serious next season, and if things don't go right, I don't know. People keep saying Frank's a legend. He won't get sacked. Frank's a legend. I know what Roman's like, and at a drop of a hat, he could be gone.
Yeah, because he's a businessman.
Right,
he expects a return on investment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not gonna just invest just for the passion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, exactly.
No, Terry, how far?
I think we should not.
Sorry, guys, one at a time. Jem, what were you going to say, mate?
Nothing. I was just going to clear up and say that we need to stop thinking about the negative side of things and think at the sort of positive sides of been how our teams looked at signing players to put to potentially make us stronger for next season. And I think that we are going to still need to give it a bit of time. Even if we smash teams in the first 2 months, people shouldn't be jumping on the bandwagon. Just
Yeah, well, because you started, mate. Yeah, you're right. The beginning of this season, as far as my brain remembers, you started off very, very well. You were there or thereabouts in the opening few weeks, and there was sort of talk about. I swear there was talk about title pushes, and I don't even want to be disrespectful. I'm just going to go back now and go to match week. I'm going to like match week 6. What were you on after match week 6? I swear you were there or thereabouts. Maybe I'm dreaming. Maybe it was another time. No, it couldn't.
No, that's 2 seasons ago. Was
that 2 seasons ago? All right, cool. Yeah, so that was right. Sorry, but that was my part. I knew it happened at the beginning. Yeah, you didn't have a great start to this season at 6 games in, you're only on 8 points. Yeah, it was a season before that where you were neck and neck with sort of Liverpool and City early on, and everyone was, this is going to be it. Sarri's going to do bits, and then it fell apart. And I think that's the element where you need to be careful that you don't overgas it, but at the same time, I almost think like Chelsea need to have this kind of, don't be sitting there like, we're going to do it, we're going to smash it, we're going to win the league. But equally, I don't want to hear any of this. It's only his second year, let him gel. Doesn't matter if we scrape top 4. That for me is too defeatist and is too negative. It's almost like you're trying to give him another get out of jail free card. And, it's weird really because the expectations on Ollie are massive. But I think even his detractors at the club, I did hear actually something that I rewatched the show back last night, and I think Aaron said if we don't back Ollie this summer, we might as well sack him, which I didn't actually understand the logic behind that. But I think most Man United fans that want Ollie out are probably going to not get behind him as such, but there's going to be more sympathy towards him if we don't sign anybody because we're not improving the squad somewhat.
Wait, Did he mean, sorry to interrupt you, Terry, did he mean the board, if they don't back him, they should sack him? Or
again, maybe he thinks they're not backing him because they don't think he's good enough. So if that's the case, then yes, sack him. But if Man United don't sign players at all because of money, it's nothing to do with Ollie. It's to do with Glazonomics. It could be a repeat of what they did going into the 3rd season for Jose, where they just didn't get him the players. They did bring in Fred, to be fair, but they didn't bring in any players that he wanted. And there was almost that element of all summer, it was like, we're going to sign somebody else. And nobody came in of any real note. And I think that if they do that to Ollie, that would be devastating, especially when you look at the facts. Like you say, you look at Chelsea and they've gone, right, let's go for it. Arsenal look like they're going to go for it. It would be highly embarrassing for Man United to not bring in a player or two of any real note. It would be. I think it would actually damage, and I think it would damage the squad psyche as well. Although publicly they'll say no, we're up for it. I almost think there'll be that element of they know they need reinforcements. There's no way when Andres Pereira comes onto the pitch, even though they're friends with him, there's no way they think, right, we can go on and win this game now. If we're drawing 1-1 in the last 20 minutes and Andres Pereira comes on, if Jesse Lingard, they're not boosted by that. It's true, and I know it sounds harsh, but that's a fact. And it's the players and manager that I feel sorry for massively. But boys, listen, I appreciate you all coming on, having your say. Everyone who's tuned in, please smash that like button for us right about now. Take care, everyone. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon.
Goodbye, Terry.
Cheers all. Thank